This is Coop's Comedy Corner. Coop's Comedy Corner.
Welcome to Coop's Comedy Corner. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, and it's good to be back. You know, it has been a month since I've recorded. Just so you know, I'm going every other week now. It's every other week. So I'm busy with Cooper Talk, and I'm busy with my new podcast with attorney extraordinaire John Fagerholm called Lawsuits and Lessons, and plus Jimmy Corham, my producer, who is great, hooks up so many comics in the Philadelphia area with Comedytrainrek. He has like 8 podcasts going. He has a legendary WID documentary, a bunch of other stuff. So it'll be every other week from now on. And I'm happy. And it's funny, my guest tonight, I've never met him. I mean, we lived in LA at the same time. I've never even talked to him. It's the first time I heard his voice. I heard his podcast once before. But
I'm sorry.
He's a very talented guy. He's got so much stuff going on. He's always working and it's what can I say? It's Izzy Presley. How you doing, Izzy?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I want to start, and this sounds like a weird question, but I look on your Facebook. And I want to hear the story. People, you have to check out Izzy Presley's Facebook. He has this woman, this woman he's been posting pictures with her. She's right there for over a year. It must be over a year. And then he has right behind her, if you see underneath her, there's the guy with the glasses in the picture frame. I want to hear the story about them because I always crack up like the guy's drinking beers with you. First of all, how did you find the guy? Where did the guy come from? Is that just a picture you found somewhere?
I was buying a it's so funny. I was buying a frame at Goodwill to put my mother in, right? Picture of me and my mother in. And there was nothing in the frame. And then I take the back off and there he is. He's just in there. And I look down at this guy and I'm looking at him and I'm driving and I look down. I'm like, this sumbitch looks like he would mount your old lady in front of you and then drink your beers. And the sumbitch was born. And this, we're coming on the 2nd anniversary of the sumbitch in March.
It's amazing because I see it and I always crack up. And you're right. I mean, that perfectly sums it up when you look at it. It's funny. I wonder. So was it a actual picture left in there, or because I'm sure it wasn't the one that comes with the frame?
No. It was an actual picture. And Steve-O, this is the best part. There was a second picture behind it. And that one is hanging by my thermostat, just watching me touch that thermostat. But the sumbitch, it just became a bit, and you know me, I can't let a bit go. I mean, obviously you've seen them. And because it's hilarious and it's just funny. I take him everywhere. I take him on the cruises. Every time I'm on stage, whether playing, mostly playing, I had him on stage once doing comedy, just there watching me, just because he's my personal security sumbitch. But like, he's always on my amp. I have 3 things always on my amp. I have the sumbitch. I have the Buddy Christ from the Kevin Smith movie, and Dogma. And I have what else is there? It's the Ace Frehley pop thing. But yeah, he's always with me. It's just great.
So that's some bitch. Now the woman. Now did you find her at a store first? Because that bit's going on forever. And it's funny, you do bits. We do bits. Sometimes you do bits on Facebook. Like I'll show myself out, or we just do stuff and we keep doing it because 1, we know some people appreciate it. 2, it pisses some people off. And 3, we're not going to get the likes we used to. And so when we get half the likes, because people are like, oh, Jesus Christ again. But now where did the girl come from? And I was thinking when I used to see her, I'm thinking, are you in this store every fucking day?
Yeah.
I mean, you were always, where'd you find her?
I do Instacart. I do Instacart during the day and in between gigs because it's so flexible. It's like, oh, Nikes, I have a cruise to do. I can just go, right? So I'm in the same store every day and she's hanging there. And to be honest, it started about a real girl. I took the picture. I said, this could be us, but I couldn't swing the bat, which was true. Absolutely true. It was about a real girl, but I'm like, I'm in here every day. Why not take a picture of this every day and, wreck myself because I couldn't swing the bat with this girl. So this could be us, and that's how it started. And then I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And finally they were going to remodel and they were going to throw her out. So I gave her a good home. And dude, I don't know if you saw the videos from that day, but there was a picture of her in the car. There was a picture of her in the shower. And then the final one, it was supposed to be the last one ever. She was in the bed and I just looked at the camera and said, good night. And I turned the camera and it went dark, but I can't stop because she's here. I still have to do it. It's just good.
Well, I've seen the AI one too. You did AI with her, or
dude,
like the
hilarious.
motion one time. It's those things. That's the funny. That's what the internet's good. That's the thing I like about your Facebook too. Is you don't start shit. So many people we know, because comics we know, and musicians, they all have their opinion. And after a while, you're like, you know what? Hey, if you want to voice your opinion, I'm all for it. But do something positive once in a while. Don't do it every day. And so that's the thing. That's what I like about your page. Now you're wearing the is that the old school North Stars jersey?
No, that one's hanging in the closet. This is the Minnesota Wild retro throwback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're from Minnesota. You're from Minnesota originally, but now I was reading on your website, izzypresley.com, people. It's really good. It's got some great pictures, shows everything he's doing, has schedules. You started off writing in sports, or how did you get into this whole business? What's your plan? And when you were young, you were like on the news and stuff.
Well, so when I was bartending in St. Cloud, and there was this local magazine, and it was a monthly magazine, high gloss entertainment magazine, and they had a weekly paper called the Weekly Buzz, and they brought me on just to write music stuff because I was on Rockin' 101, the radio station in St. Cloud. I think I was, No, I wasn't on Rockin' One. This is before that, because this is about 5 years before I was on the radio. But they wanted me to write like rock stories. So I just did like this weekly or this monthly column, just like random bits. I mean, by the time it came out, it was way old news. And I mean, back in 2005, it wasn't old news yet, but it was not like today where it's like, boom, it's a flash in the pan and it's gone. And that's actually where the name came from. Because I'm like, well, Tommy Elwell's not a very rock and roll name. Let's see. Izzy Stradlin played on the greatest album of all time, bar none, Appetite for Destruction. Elvis is King. Boom. That's how Izzy Presley was born. And after I stopped bartending, I kept writing for him, and then I started doing sports and using the connections and using the fact that, hey, I'm in print, I was able to get in the press boxes. And so I became the quote unquote sports and music director. And it was it was awesome. It was awesome. You're in the press box, you're on the field, at the Twins games, and in the clubhouse, and the whole the Wild and the Vikings and the Wolves. It was such a good time and such a learning experience, because in the press box you can't cheer, so you have to learn that, okay, I'm here as a professional. I'm covering the game. Yes, there's free hot dogs, and that's glorious. But you learn to be a professional, and then you get, you start to have like relationships with the players. I just posted on the Twitter last night. There was this Patrick Waugh poster from 1991. It was just the mask. It was because he was still with the Canadiens, and I said Waugh on the top. And me and my roommates, we used to play NHL 93 and 94. And Waugh was the goalie god. So we had this poster hanging up in the apartment, and we put up the 10 commandments of Patrick Waugh, and there was candles. So every time somebody was the Canadiens, we had to light the candles. And one of the commandments was, if you score on Patrick Waugh, you have to bow to the poster. How does that fit into this whole thing? I gave that poster to Justin Morneau when I was covering the Twins, because he changed his number to 33 because of Patrick Waugh. So it's just weird how this whole thing came together and how much it taught me.
Now, okay, so you're in Minnesota, you're doing the sports, you're doing this, and you're on the radio. So what was the deciding factor to move to LA? Because I know, like, I moved from the Philly area to LA, and I moved back, and some of the guys are still on TV now, and they're big. I mean, like, there's a guy, Yuki Washington, and Val Sekahama, who was a football player, was a big announcer, a news guy here. And then he just retired. And so, when these guys, when you're local in a market like this, like LA, it's nothing because there's so many stars. You know how that is.
Right.
But in these markets, it's huge. So what made you decide to leave? Because it seems like you could have really worked up the ladder to possibly doing like color for one of the baseball teams or hockey teams, or what made you decide to go to LA?
Well, ironically, the St. Paul Pioneer Press, their baseball gal moved, and I had an in, and I tried like hell to get that gig as being their daily scribe. It just didn't work out. It's like, I don't know which way we're gonna go. But so I got into radio in 2010, late 2010, early 2011, and 2012 we're on the Monsters of Rock cruise. Very first one. We get on. We were the very first radio station to do anything with them. So they brought us on, right? And I see this girl, pardon me, across the pool. I'm like, can I swear on here?
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit. What was the girl from Mask? Something About Mary. Cameron Diaz. Like, holy shit. She looks like Cameron Diaz, and she's wearing a Motorhead shirt. She was there with her boyfriend at the time. They broke up. She came on the next cruise with me in 2013. Later in 2013, December 2013, we visited LA. She met me out there from Norway, and we went to the Rainbow. And it was just, this is where I need to be. It was just, because I had never been to LA before. I was there once, but I didn't get to experience it because I was hanging out down in Anaheim. But just being there, like, this is where I belong. And, I moved out there. God, it was just months. It was just a few months, and I made it September 1st, 2013 is when I got out there. And I hit the ground running, and that's when I got hired on to do all the stuff on the cruises. And it's just,
I was gonna. Well, first, you do the Monsters of Rock, which there's that one picture of you in that god awful green bathing suit with your balls hanging out. Which is,
I tell you what,
he's wearing like, it's, what was it? That's like what was that suit?
It was a mankini. It was the Borat. It was the Borat. Well, Steve, I'll tell you what, man, and this is the honest truth. If I had not done that, I don't know where I'd be. Because that whole thing, that's how people remembered me. And that's kind of how I made my statement. I did it as a goof. I had the girls from the radio station with me. I walked around the boat. It was the day we were at sea, and it was St. Patrick's Day. Femme Fatale was on the pool stage. There was a pool behind the pool stage. And we walked around the boat. I'm in my full Elvis get up, and I get up on the just on the side of the pool, and the girls peel it off to reveal the mankini. And I'm just standing there in all my glory, which is 2 sizes too small, by the way. You see pictures of mankini, it goes up to like their gut. Oh no, there was some serious tucking going on, and I'm standing there in all my glory. There's a picture from the side, and you see John Corabi with his feet in the pool, just like this. But if I had never done that, I don't know where I'd be, because that really made my mark,
Well, you do these cruises now. What is your job as the host of these cruises? I know you do your comedy music show on some of them, but and you're on a bunch of different cruises. There's like, there's the deep sea, or there's a
Monsters of Rock, which is coming up in April. monstersofrockcruise.com. There's one in March, Cruise to the Edge, which is the Prague cruise. So it's Yes type bands and all that kind of stuff. A lot of notes, a lot of really hardcore music fans, which is great, but I'm the hottest girl on that boat. But then there's also every other year, it used to be the Moody Blues cruise, and now it's just called On the Blue Cruise because there is no more Moody Blues. So they do that one every other year, and that's Ellen Parsons, and like they had the Nelsons on there doing their dad show and stuff like that. And it's great. It's so fun. But so what I do on Monsters of Rock, that's the big one. So we do the comedy show, which is called Punchlines and Backlines, where myself and Courtney Cronin, Courtney really came up with the show, and she just brought me on to help her with it back in LA. And the premise of that show is we take a musician who's never done stand-up comedy before, and her and Don Jameson write the jokes. So Reb Beach is done. And then they actually think they're doing it up in Pittsburgh this weekend or next weekend. I can't remember the exact date. If you just look up punchlines and backlines, you'll find it. But like Reb Beach has done it. Kip Winger's done it. Chad Stewart, Faster Pussycat, Patrick Kennis from Lita Ford, Genocide from Paradise Kitty. The list just goes on. And it's so fun getting these people out of their element. Jeff Scott Soto was great too. Tyson Leslie, they're all phenomenal. And they help them with the jokes. They tell their stories, and then that's how they kind of form the jokes. So we do that show twice on the Monsters Cruise. I do a jam called the Izzy's Cruiser Jam, where I get the artists and cruisers playing together, and the cruisers don't know who the artist is that they get to play with, because I want them to sign up for the song that they want to play, not because they want to play with so-and-so from whatever band, right? And karaoke. That's the main reason I am there. My good friend Brian, DJ Beef, we've been doing it together from the start, and we're still rolling with it, and it is the ultimate late night party. And then I do introducing bands and the PA announcements and all this stuff. And I do that on all the other cruises as well.
Well, it's funny, when you did say earlier about you being the prettiest girl in the prog rock, it's so funny. I can imagine going from like the Monsters of Rock with those metal girls to prog rock.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I remember me and my wife went to see Yes at the Greek. And we had really good seats because Clive Farrington from the New Wave group When in Rome couldn't go, and he goes, "You want these seats?" And I was laughing because me and Joanne were sitting there, and we're looking around the concert at the Greek, the Yes crowd, who I've seen many times when I was younger, and it's all dudes with ponytails and Yes shirts. And I can imagine, and the prog guys, I mean, that must just be amazing. Just is there women on there, or is it just like all dudes?
There actually is. I mean, most of the gals that are there to see it, they're a little bit older and not really, married and all that kind of stuff. They're like the attractive women on there are there with the bands, right. But it's funny that you say that, because two quick stories. So we had Eric Martin from Mr. Big on another effing podcast over the pandemic, and he was telling the story about how when Mr. Big, when To Be With You hit, they were on tour with Rush. They were opening up for Rush, and Rush loved them because there was actually girls at the show. But they loved it. But I goof on the prog fans, but I know I'm a bigger dork because, dude, I'm a Kiss geek, and we are worse than prog fans, dude. I mean, makeup and cod pieces and just nerddom all the way down the road. But so the first run we did was, and I was just talking about this on the Patreon, so patreon.com/real Izzy Presley, only $5 a month, by the way. The first run that we did was in 2014. It was me and Brian doing the karaoke, and it was Monsters of Rock, Cruise to the Edge. No, Monsters of Rock, Moody Blues Cruise, Cruise to the Edge. And there was no days off. It was get off the boat, get right back on. So we were on that boat for 2 weeks, right? And Jeff LeBar and Eric Brittingham were on all three cruises with a band called Cheap Thrill. And that's when I became friends with Jeff, because we got to hang out with them just, for 2 weeks. It was the last night of Cruise to the Edge. It was the last night. We finally get off the boat tomorrow. We get to go home, and we're just progged out. We're done. I mean, 2 weeks of just boozing and having a blast, and we're just done. And it's the last night, and Saga is playing in one of the bars, and we're just done. And I look at Jeff, and he looks at me. I go, "Watch this." The band stops. I yell, "Freebird." Not one single head turned, not one middle finger went up, because they are so much into the music, which is awesome. That's great. I love super fans. But the fact that nobody even blinked an eye when somebody yelled "Freebird," my God.
when did your love of Kiss and music start? Because it's funny. I remember I posted this on Facebook. I was when what was it? Rock and Roll Over, the album, the one that
Mhm.
had the looked like a cutting wheel. Well, I had
Yep.
posted. This is true. I think I was in eighth, seventh, sixth, seventh or eighth grade. I don't know it, but in that I got that album for Christmas or my birthday, and it had that sticker in it.
Hmm.
And you were cool because back then we had like a 3-ring binder, and you put
Yep.
like your favorite group, like top
Yep.
10, like everything was like top 10 or top 5, like oh the Who, the Stones.
Yep.
But I remember if you put that on, you were it was like you were cool. It was like it was a thing. And Kiss for me, was Kiss Alive, and I've never seen Kiss. I've seen so many bands, but and I've interviewed Bruce Kulick, and
Great dude.
but I've never seen Kiss. And when did you start loving Kiss? Because so many, like Matt Starr loves Kiss. There's so many
Hmm.
musicians that really love Kiss, and there was such an influence on them. And for me, I was there. I mean, I was when Kiss Alive came out. I was young, but I think I got them from like the Columbia House Record Club, and I
Hmm.
got that. And because I didn't hang out with musicians, my brother was a very good drummer, but my sister played the cello and the French horn, so she wasn't into rock. I didn't really hang out with musicians. I hung out with athletes when I was younger. So I didn't really get the whole impact of Kiss. But how did you fall in love with Kiss? Because people love them. And I always think, it's funny, real quick story. My friend
Yep.
Jeff Martyr, who was like my comedy mentor, hosted a show on Playboy Channel years ago with Ringo Starr. But he was at a
Oh
party in
wow.
Hollywood Hills. He was in the hills, and Gene Simmons there. And Gene looks at him and goes, "Hey, what's another Jew from New York doing here at the Hollywood Hills?" And it's just like, but Gene is exactly how you think he would be. He just
Yeah.
like when you see him, that's right. So when did you fall in love with Kiss, and why have they stuck with you for so long? Because you have Act, which is your
Yeah.
tribute band, which we'll talk about. Tell me about your love affair with Kiss.
It started. Well, my music started. I mean, I'm 53, and I started with the Beatles. I started with Waylon. I started with Kenny Rogers. I remember playing that stuff at my grandma's place, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if we were at the at Shopko or whatever those stores used to have music departments. And I was 4 or 5 years old. I go, "Mommy, what's that?" This is how I assume it happened. And she got me Destroyer for Christmas. And I remember putting it on, jumping on the couch, doing trying to do the Gene pose. And then I got a couple of the solo records, and it was just, but I was too young to appreciate what it was. I was just enamored by looking at it and the music. Hell, I brought the Gene Simmons solo album to show and tell and played the song Larry and Sid. I mean, that's how big of a dork I was. But and then like everybody, you start to grow up a little bit, and your music kind of changes. You kind of fall in love with what's on the radio as you're kind of getting older. And at that time, I mean, we're talking The Elder and Unmasked and just garbage. So I kind of just Kiss went by the wayside. What it was that got me back into it, like hardcore, was 1984, Animalized Live Uncensored on MTV. And it brought it all back. And I was a full blown Kiss tard ever since then. And it's that band is, if it wasn't for that band, I don't know where I was. When Ace died, my guitar player here in Vegas, Keith Robert War, made the statement over text. He goes, "Without Ace, there's no us." And it's just amazing how much that statement resonates, because I don't know where I would be if Kiss had never existed, or Kiss had just been a flash in the pan. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. Well, the music. When did you personally start playing music? Because I know you play guitar and bass, I believe. Or when did you
Guitar.
start playing music? Was that as a young age,
Yeah.
or,
I
or
was
was that
about
something after you heard Kiss?
I was about 12 or 13. And there was two reasons I picked up the guitar. It was Ace, obviously, and Back to the Future, the Johnny B. Good scene. Those are the two reasons I picked up the guitar. And I didn't really start getting serious about it. Not that I'm very serious about it. I mean, I can play. I'm not a god or anything. I can bust out a solo here and there, but I know 8 chords. But it was, God, it was 91 or no, 91. My first real band, I was 21 years old. So it took a while. And I had put, like everybody, you start, then all of a sudden you put it down and then you get back into it. And after that, it was boom. I love this. I love being on stage. This is what I have to do.
Now, when did you put ACK together? Is that the right way to pronounce it? ACK?
ACK.
Okay, no, ACK that's an Ace. Tell me about ACK. It's an Ace Frehley.
It's an Ace Frehley tribute. I started that band in Minnesota before I left, and our first gig was my going away party. And the name ACK, and Kiss Tards and all this, but the general people probably don't. It was Ace's only scripted line in Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. ACK! And it's just a bunch of friends that wanted to play Kiss songs together, but let's specialize. It's like we don't want to do the makeup and all that stuff. It's like, let's just do an Ace Frehley tribute and have fun. And then when I moved, I put the Hollywood version together and, did shows out there, did shows on the cruises. And then I moved here and I put this version together. So every time I go home, like February 21st, I'm playing back at home at the red carpet in St. Cloud. I got my old school guys back there. But yeah, that's really where it started. It's just fun. We get paid to play songs. We get paid to play Kiss songs with our friends.
Now,
it's fun.
Now has ACK played at Soundcheck Live? Because I know you host that. It's funny. I went to Soundcheck. Well, it used to be at Lucky Strike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Soundcheck. Was that Soundcheck Live?
Well, okay.
So I probably saw
Ultimate Jam Night started at Lucky Strike. And then Mommy and Daddy split up and they moved to the Whiskey. And Filazzo, who was one of the house keyboard player for Ultimate Jam Night, he kept it at Lucky Strike, and that's when Soundcheck Live was born. I filled in once or twice for Paulie when he was out of town at Ultimate Jam Night. And then, Filazzo called me after the first show, and I answered the phone. I knew exactly what it was. I just said, Steve, just tell me what night and what bowling alley, and I'll be there. And I've been his guy ever since.
Well, that was always great. I went there. I think it was, I don't know if you were the host yet. God, I was still in LA, but I think it was before I don't know. I went to see, because Lucky Lehrer, I met Lucky. He had done Cooper Talk. Then I had gone to, it's so funny. I was going to his, he invited me over one time. So like, it was him and like 3 other people. One of the guys from one of these, what's Henry Rollins, Black Flag, the guy, and there's like 6 people. And I took my old roommate, and it was great. And then we went to Lucky's house for a New Year's party, where I met Rich Redmond, who's become a very good friend.
Oh,
and I remember we went to see Lucky, and it was just so cool because I know the guy, Joey Belladonna was there, and Sean McNabb had done my show. There's all these people there, and it's really cool. And for you, it must be cool because you love music, because you never know who's going to stop by. I heard one thing, like after Robin Zander, Cheap Trick got nominated to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Robin Zander stopped by, and it's both these. So who are some of the people that you've seen just stop by and gig?
Well, I wasn't there the Robin Zander night. I wasn't. Something happened where I wasn't allowed to go back because it was still Ultimate Jam Night. That's a story for off the air sometime. But so I wasn't there that night, and I wasn't there the David Lee Roth night where it got shut down because the word got out. That was still Ultimate Jam Night. But like Soundcheck Live, dude. Nuno obviously, but he's kind of a staple there. But Jackson Brown, that was cool.
Really?
He went.
Jackson Brown just sits there and he comes in. And people, if you don't know what the gig Izzy's talking about, is all these musicians come from different bands, and they jam and they get a playlist and stuff like that.
They know what they're going to play. So the way Soundcheck Live is set up, you got the first set, or the first act, as they like to call it, and that's a jam. Then the second act is the featured spotlight, featured artist. So Jackson did that, and he did a full set of his own stuff, and using the band, the Soundcheck Live house band. Then the third set is more of the jam. But dude, he was so nice. He was so cool.
How was the crowd with him though? Because the jam is a very harder. It's a harder. You know, you guys. It's heavy. It's a heavy sound.
Not actually.
I mean, not heavy metal, but it's rock.
Yeah,
it's hard rock. It's not Jackson Brown rock.
Well, Ultimate Jam Night's more hard rock. Soundcheck is kind of more musician-y, I guess I should say. I mean, there's a lot of hits, a lot of songs that people know, but it's not necessarily hard rock. I mean, there are every once in a while they throw some stuff in. But it's like, dude, you'll hear Duran Duran, then you'll hear Metallica. You know, it's just it's so great. It's so fun. It's very eclectic. So that, I mean, Jackson's crowd, it was Jackson's crowd. I mean, it was older people. The whole night was kind of around that, and then Jackson came in and did his set, and it was phenomenal. And there was no cover. They got to see Jackson Brown for free.
That's what's great. You know, that was funny. Lucky Strike I went to see. Well, you know, Troy Patrick Farrell, you know, Troy.
Yeah.
Troy had
best smelling hair in the business.
Yeah, I know. I always sit there. It's so funny. Troy one year comes to, after Joanne moved to LA, we would do Thanksgiving. And Troy, of course, brings a vegan to Thanksgiving. And we're like, dude, come on. It's like turkey and everything. This is really, she walked in and he's like, well, I have this. I'm like, dude, it's like, I think we have green beans. You know, I think the green bean casserole might have bacon in it. But I went to see Gilby Clark, who had done Cooper Talk. And we went, me and my buddy. And it's a great place. Now, you guys, do you do it at Lucky Strike still?
Yeah. Right now we're kind of on hiatus. Like with Ferlazzo's touring schedule, and there was some family stuff he had to take care of. Steve Ferlazzo, he's the MD for Avril Lavigne. He's the one that puts this whole thing together. And there's just, you know, touring schedules with everybody, and then he had some family business he had to take care of back home in Boston. And so we were supposed to do one last month, or this month, I'm sorry. But just, you know, just life happens. So, and it's once a month. But I don't know I don't know when we're coming back, but apparently we are coming back. I mean, we're coming back. I just don't know when.
Well, it's funny, you know, you meet so many interesting people in your cruises and stuff like that. Now I got to find out, you were just at the AVN Awards. What was the AVN Awards, and what is that like? Like, cause were you interviewing people? Were you just there to watch it? Which the AVN it's a porn award, or is it like a convention? What is it?
It's both. They do it's like the Grammys for porn. Or it's like the Oscars for porn. They do that. They do the award show every year. And the first year I went, I didn't go to the award show this year or last year, but the first year we went, like, the girl that won Best Anal thanked her asshole, and it was the greatest thing ever. Me and my best friend Mike Dawson from the Corolla Show, we lost it, and he's the new co-host of the podcast. So the reason that I go now is I get content for the show. I do this bit called Dating Tips from Porn Stars, and I get 12 of them, ask them the same 5 questions, and that's it. It's fun because it's fun. It's different for them. It's not asking about porn. It's like, it's fun. It's like, and helping losers like me who can't get a date, you know? So, but the other reason is the free lube, and God bless it, you know?
Now, you say you can't get a date, but I've seen Dapper Izzy. Now tell me about Dapper Izzy, because is that like an alter ego? Like there's Clark Kent and Superman, and it's Izzy Presley and Dapper Izzy.
It was a bit. It was a bit. High class Dapper Izzy. It started when I came up here from LA to look for a place, and I brought a suit, and it's like the bit was high class Dapper Izzy only drinks the finest of drinks, and I had one of those big fucking slushy drinks, you know, it's just, again, it was just a stupid bit, but it was fun. You know, now, what I mean?
What made you move to Vegas? I mean, I left LA, I left LA 8 years ago. And the one thing is, I could do Cooper Talk anywhere. I was just tired of LA. I was never going to be able to buy a house. Me and my now wife, she was with me now. We own a small condo. You know, I have actually a pretty stable life. unlike LA, because LA is always rents going up and this and that. And it's become a
Yep.
shithole, I've heard. But what made you go to Vegas? Because Vegas is funny. I lived in Vegas 30 years ago, and I lived right off
Back when it was
Flamingo.
real Vegas.
Yeah, and it was Flamingo and Koval. It was called the Desert Club, and I waited tables at Planet Hollywood in Caesar's Palace, that the Forum shops. So that, but I only stayed for a year, and then I got out. It was funny because I would see when I first moved there, I was waiting tables at the Imperial Palace, and you would see like these. Well, then there were probably 60 these waitresses who would just after the shift go and lose all their money. And I had a neighbor who would just like, I went gambling with one night. We went downtown, and this guy was making $13 an hour, and he's going into like the playing dollar slots like 5 at a time. Meanwhile, I'm putting pennies in just to get free drinks.
Yeah.
But so what made you go to Vegas, and are you liking it so far?
I love it here, dude. As opposed to LA, everything's 20 minutes away. And because I don't have to deal with LA traffic. The reason I picked Vegas is because I do love it here. I've always loved Vegas. Because it's close enough where if I have to go back, I don't have to fly. I can drive. And, I still do gigs every once in a while with the Smoking Kills, my original band that I'm in, or Dawson's original band that he brought me into. Soundcheck Live. It just, everything about LA, the taxes, it's so freaking expensive, the traffic, stepping over homeless people everywhere. I was living in a cool spot in Burbank, with like-minded, kick-ass big house. I'm paying, with bills, I'm paying $1,000, $1,100 for my bedroom to have 5 roommates. I live on the Strip. I live by Mandalay Bay on the Strip. I'm paying $1,100 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Where'd you live at Burbank? Because I lived on 5th and Tahunga for the whole time I was there, right off Glen Oaks. I used to walk to downtown Burbank all the time. I used to walk.
You know where that Vaughn's is, right off the 134?
Yeah,
Pass Avenue.
You were okay. You were over on that side. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, as I said, I'm doing Coop's Comedy Corner now, and I started Cooper Talk, I think 14 years ago in Burbank. And it's funny, Patrick Farrell was one of my first musical guests. I had all character actors and mostly comedian friends of mine, guys I had known, Paul Tompkins, Blaine Capash, these guys who I did comedy in Philly with. Mm-hmm. And I had that's been on for a long time. But you also started your podcast, I think, in 2013, which we've been around forever. We've been doing it for a long time. And I try to tell people, first of all, back then there wasn't 8,000 podcasts. Mine started on internet radio, and I record in right next to New Wave Entertainment, right on Olive, across from that sub shop, little sub shop.
Yeah.
But so we were doing it when no one was doing it. When did you start yours, and why did you start it? And I want to get to you about how for us now, it's been for a long time. If we started now, we probably wouldn't get the guests we got. Because I started like Patrick Fabian and Spencer, all the character actors. No one was interviewing them. I got them. So now, 10 years later, they come on my show gladly. Same with you. You've made your musician friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what made you start another effing podcast? Because there wasn't. I mean, tell me about the podcast.
I decided to start it before I moved. When I was, because I left the radio gig and I announced that I was going to start it. Not that anybody cared, but I had to put out a press release. But I jokingly named it Another Fucking Podcast, because everybody has a podcast. I mean, now 13 years later, everybody does have a podcast. But I had made connections, through radio and through the cruises. So I'm like, I think I could do this and have fun with it. And that's the only reason I do it, is because it's fun and I get to talk to people that I love and try to entertain people. And you talk about how, it's like, when we started, there wasn't a lot of podcasts. That made it a lot easier. It made it a lot easier to get press. And that's one thing that really helped my show in the beginning, is like, when I had somebody on, there's a good chance Blabbermouth was going to pick it up, and that was going to drive listens and views. And now it's just insane. Now compared to when we started doing this, you could reach out to people that might have been a little bit more famous and get them now, because there are so many podcasts. Everybody and their grandmother has a podcast. It's back old school again. You have to go through the publicist, and a lot of times it's a pain in the ass because what are you doing for views? What are you doing for listens? It's like it changes every week. I have Bruce Kulick on in September for the 40th anniversary of Asylum. The YouTube does like 5,000, 6,000 views. The downloads are huge. Then I go the next week and I get like 200. And that's what makes it so hard.
Well, I think the download numbers are bullshit because I'm a Podbean, and all of a sudden, I interviewed. It's so funny. I interviewed Chris Hayes, the guitarist from Huey Lewis and the News, very good guitarist. And I don't post mine on YouTube, but Podbean sends it on YouTube. It's on the audio version. I don't promote it.
Yeah.
But somehow that got like 4,000 views, but they don't show onto Podbean. And I think the download thing. I mean, honestly, in this day and age, and maybe it's just me. But are you really downloading a podcast? No. You go into your app, you find it, and you play it. And that's the thing. They never count the plays. Like I'm played on Radio Garden State, which is all Cooper Talk is on that. It's all New Jersey content creators. And then I'm on a station in California, in Canada, and then one on he's originally out of Vegas, Indy 100, which I started. That was where Cooper Talk started. So that I get 8,000-9,000 listens. So that helps me get guests. But the thing is with publicists, what I've learned is about publicists. Music publicists are great. I have very good relationships with many of them. I sit there, they remember me. The Hollywood entertainment, they suck. I sit there, it's like I can't get them. I get most of my guests now through Facebook and Twitter and recommendations. But for you, you have a lot of musicians. Do you also do actors or just strictly musicians?
Yeah, I'll do actors. I had a couple about 2 months ago. I had Mitch Schneider on. You know the name Mitch Schneider, the Mitch Schneider organization? The guy. I just sent a thing about Dave Mustaine to Marcy Rodan, who's his assistant. She works with him, and she's like, we're passing on to management, and they're going to, So I know Mitch Schneider. Yeah, no, and I had him on the show, and you want to talk about stories. Holy, I couldn't shut him up. It was awesome, But yeah, I've noticed that, even the rock guys are kind of hard. There's a couple bands that I tried to get we'll pass it on to management and then never hear back, but that's a product of what it is nowadays. No matter, you could be huge, which I'm not trying to proclaim that at all. I mean, I'm a realist. I know what it is, even though I've been doing this as long as I have, but you're just not always going to be able to get the big fish. You have to throw the line in the water, but if it doesn't come back, you can't get pissed about it.
But I would think when it comes to doing your show, you interact with all these people on the cruises. I would think they want to do it because you're a good guy.
Yeah.
And, musicians are all cool, but I would think you should be able to get the guys from Yes. I mean, I'd be like, because they know you. And that's the one thing I've learned. When you know people, like Willie Garson, I loved him. He was in Sex and the City, he passed. But I remember John Ailes, who was on a great show called Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, just redid my show after 10 years. But Ailes, was leaving. He goes, hey, the studio in Burbank. He's like, hey, has Willie Garson ever done your show? I go, no, I love him. He goes, all right. And he got him for me. So I would think like you would be able to get people because you know so many people. This whole business is about networking. So, do you try to push that, or some people don't like to do that because you don't want to mix it up with that job because it's a gig?
It's some people just don't like doing podcasts. I mean, I asked Reb Beach, he's like, nah, I don't like podcasts. I'm like, all right, cool. I mean, Reb's a great guy. He just didn't want to do it. I was like, yeah, I understand that, but I had Kip on. It's really weird. There's somebody that I've been trying to reach out to that I know, and he's not getting back to me, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is. If he wants to come on, I have a mic for him. You just kind of roll with the punches, and I prefer in studio, which was a lot easier when I was in LA, because there's just a different vibe when you're sitting next to somebody, and this, and when you're sitting next to me, like if you listened to Eddie Trunk show yesterday with Brian Slagle in studio, you can tell they were just bullshitting and having fun. But if you're on Zoom, if you're on whatever what this is, dude, it's like it feels more like an interview. If you're just hanging, like when I had Danny Count Coker on, dude, we were just hanging and bullshitting. And that's how I like my show to go. I don't have a script. I noticed that you don't either, which is great. Scripted questions shows how professional you aren't. You know, if you can't have a conversation with somebody and ask follow-up questions, you're not going to last long doing this.
Yeah, you know, I also, it's funny about the scripted, and it's the difference also. Here's one of my things, and this is the truth, and I think you'll agree with this, because I know you perform and you do comedy, and you know, we've all sat there and we've been doing a show and we eat shit, and you got to bounce your way out. And when you sit there, you know, some people say, oh, I do so much research, and I'm like, you know what? I don't do a lot of research, because you know what? I get people on my show that I like and I know about their career. Like I get a lot of 80s new wave bands, and I always on my other show, and I always start off with a story about the music. On Coop's Comedy Corner, I get people like Rich Scheidner, Wendy Liebman, Rick Overton, people who I've known. You know, Jimmy Schubert, the first episode of this. You know, I just had the guys from Homicide Life on the Street, Reed Diamond and Kyle Secor, who both had done Cooper Talk. I get people I know, and you're right. In studio, it's so different. I had Ed Asner in studio, and Ed Asner's sitting there, and he comes in he's got his pants like pulled up to here, and he's got his driver, and he's sitting there, and you don't know what they're asking because he's had such a great career. But at the end of the show, I always take a picture, and he looks at me and goes, wipe that smug fucking smile off your face. And he laughed. And I'm like, that wouldn't happen on Zoom. You're right. That wouldn't happen. So now, what does your whole show encompass? Is it interview? Is it sketch? What is it?
It's mostly interview. Now, so I do have a co-host now, which is Mike Dawson from the Adam Carolla Show, my best friend. And that started this year because I needed to change it up a little bit. You know, when I go through Spreaker, and I was able to go live through speakers. So I had appointment listening. It was the same time, live every week. You know, I had my drops that were in the app. It was great. It was easy. It was fun. And people could like chat there was a chat room so I could get questions. And it was just a fun thing doing it live. And now I can't do it live anymore. And that screwed up my whole thing because I miss it, because I don't look at this. I don't look at myself as a podcaster because of my radio. And it's going to sound snobby, but it's really not meant to be. I consider myself a broadcaster. And when I was able to do it live, I was a broadcaster. And when I'm not live, I don't feel like I'm broadcasting. I feel like I'm podcasting, if that makes sense. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, that's how I prefer to do it. But the interview aspect, the fun aspect, like dude, like you said, getting people on that you wouldn't expect to hear from. Like when I had Pat Fontaine, the bass player from XYZ on, that one did huge numbers because nobody ever hears from Pat Fontaine. And the stories were fucking hilarious. And I lived with Tori Wells. She was my live-in girlfriend for a decade. I'm like, oh my God, Tori Wells, Night Trips, come on. Oh yeah, I took out Susanna Hoffs once. I'm like, what? This is shit that I didn't know about him. And this is all through the conversation part of it. And that's why I like to say it's a conversation more than an interview, even though you're asking questions. But yeah, it's I love it.
Real quick though, I call mine organic chats because it's true. We sit there, we don't write anything out because that's stale. You know, and you sit there and it's so funny because a lot of these guys are used to the same questions. So they tell the same story. I did an interview with a guy, and then my friend did an interview, and I said, did he tell this story? He goes, yeah. And man, I listened to my buddy's podcast. It was this story. I mean, to the exact same word, pause, breathe, breath. And so, so it's funny because people, you're right though. A lot of times these guys, they script these questions out and you can tell. And if the guy doesn't give the answer, they shit themselves because they don't know how, like from comedy and stuff, you know how to deflect, you know how to go, just go with it.
Yep. Yeah. Look, there's interviews where I have one word written down. There's interviews where I have the name of the album written down and that's it. But there's like Mitch Schneider. I had talking points written down. I didn't have questions written out, But I just said, I know I have to hit this. I know I have to hit this because I didn't want to forget, because I'm an airhead. I forget shit. So every once in a while I have to put the important stuff down, like the website, just stupid shit like that. But it's just talking points are fine. It's just like, you have questions written out. No, because you can tell.
Now, Vegas. I want to get back to Vegas, and you know, what was that club? What was that club that closed? There was that rock club that closed
Counts
recently.
Vamped.
So now you used to play there a lot, right? You used to hang out there. So
Yeah.
what is that like when you're sort of like your hangout? Because there's a lot of musicians in Vegas now.
Yep.
Am I right? So where do you guys go now? It's like, I mean, in LA, you go to the baked potato, you can go to the whiskey, the sound check, Ultimate Jam, then places. What's the scene now in Vegas for musicians?
It's definitely different. The thing that Vamped, we like to say Vamped was our rainbow, because it was a hang, obviously it's not the rainbow. I mean, nothing's the rainbow. The rainbow's a rainbow, but that was the closest thing that we had to the rainbow, because it was a hang. And it's like, a lot of the bands are playing at Tuscany now at the Copa Room. Corey from Vamped books a show every once in a while at the Copa Room at the Bootlegger, which is a cool venue. I'm working on doing a show there. But there's places, but it's just not, without Vamped. It's not I don't really go out that much anymore. I mean, there's the bar across the street in Mandalay, Reraw, the Irish place. They take care of me. They love me. I know them. So I go over there because I can stumble home, or the way they crawl home. But yeah, I personally don't get out that much anymore. There's a place called Bonfire where a lot of people are starting to go, but without Vamp, because Vamped was like our place, and it was, they treated us like family there, and it felt like you belong, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that's always. I used to have a place in Burbank. I used to go to Black Angus to watch Eagles game, and that was my place.
Yeah.
So what are your goals? What are your goals this year, Izzy? What do you want to do? Do you want to build the band more? Do you want to build the cruise more, the podcast? Because you have your hand in so many fires, and that's always a good thing. I do the same thing, but it keeps you busy. But what do you want to see take off this year?
Comedy. I don't have, I don't call them goals. I don't call them resolutions. I call them expectations of myself. And because I want to make me feel like I'm going to live up to these expectations that I have of myself. One of them is comedy, writing jokes every day. And I haven't been able to do that. I've written a couple, but sit down and write jokes every day, play guitar every day, get another band, that I can play covers with out here. But comedy and those are the two big things. Well, plus, stop being such a fat fuck, get in shape a little bit, but instead of A shape, but I've my DDP yoga for that. And thank you, Diamond Dallas Page, for that, by the way. But those are the big ones, and just try not to have to rely on Instacart, wasting 14 hours a day trying to make $150, to get by, when I could be out gigging and making money. That's what I would rather be doing.
Well, okay, I got one final question. I always ask my guests this. Look back at your career. You've had, you think about it. I always say this, like when people say to me, when I moved back from LA, they look at you like you're a star, because I was a hand model. I was on NCIS. I was on NCIS in Westworld. I was in a god awful movie called Killer Drag Queens on Dope with Alexis Arquette. And I've done a lot of weird shit, and that's what have. We've done weird stuff, but it's cool stuff, and it makes it different. So when you look back, after this point, you're 53 now, and you've met rock stars, you've interviewed rock stars, you partied with rock stars, you've been on stage, you've gone on these cruises, you've been on radio, you've been on TV, you've been in press boxes. What makes you proud when you sit there right now at your point? What makes you proud? Because a lot of times people don't want to say they're proud, but because they feel because they haven't got that brass ring that they've accomplished anything. But when you look at your life and I look at my life, we've done so much more than that 9-to-5 accountant who's living in a huge house who's like, holy shit, I've been married for 30 years. So 30 years. I hate my fucking wife. I hate my job. I hate my kids. So what makes you proud? What makes you proud when you're looking back at your life so far? What's making you proud?
That I haven't given up. That's it. I mean, look, I'm 53 years old. There's no turning back now. You know, I haven't not had a job other than Lyft, Uber, and Instacart since 2014. I'm in it. I'm in it. And the fact that I have not crawled home to St. Cloud, Minnesota with my tail between my legs, am I struggling? Yes. But I'm here. I've been on Amazon Prime as a fat guy waiting in line for a burger. You know, I've done background stuff. I've been on TV. I've been in the movies. Oohs and ahs. But I haven't given up, and it can only go up. And I know this. A lot of people, it just sounds like delusions of grandeur, following the dream. Yeah, you're goddamn right. I'm following the dream. I ain't giving up. If I die alone on this couch tomorrow night or tonight watching the hockey game, I will die knowing that I stuck it out as long as I could. I didn't quit. I'm still moving forward. I'm still trying. I haven't given up on the podcast, which we know is not a financial success for anybody unless you're already famous. I'm here. I'm still here. And that's what I'm proud of.
That's awesome. But let me ask you one question. I'm going to tell you this. If you happen, right when we get off air, take a piece of paper out and take a pen out and write, in case you die tonight, Steve Cooper gets some bitch. I want to get some bitch. I want some bitch. All right. I'll put him.
I'll send you one.
I'll put them on my.
Oh, no, well, actually, I'll send you the picture. Just go to CVS and get it printed out, and go to Goodwill and get a frame. It's 8x10.
My wife would kill me. My wife would be like, "What the hell is this?" She it's funny. You know, our place. Someone years ago gave me these. We were in Burbank. Me and my buddy used to buy this weird shit, and I had these bondage women book like bookshelves, like not bookshelves, book holders, and the woman are like. And I have them on the bottom shelf. My wife lets me have them, but I don't know about some bitch. I have to find out.
Oh, dude.
But,
well, here's the thing with some bitch. He likes beer, and apparently, from one of my listeners, he really likes Jägermeister too. So
okay.
So you just got to keep him happy. That's all that matters. All right. And then he's fine. He gets a little ornery from time to time, but yeah, I think he belongs on your wall.
All right. So, okay. So how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way? It's through your website?
Yeah. IzzyPresley.com has got all my links. If you don't want to go that far, dude, it's real Izzy Presley. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the Patreon, the same thing. The Patreon, you get the weekly show before everybody else. You get it ad free, and you get multiple shows a week just for the Patreon. It's only $5 a month. You know, like the Patreon only shows usually about 20, 25 minutes. There's no reason to keep babbling for that long, you know, every day, unless that's what they want, or unless I'm on a tizzy. But yeah, it's fun. You get exclusive content there. And then I'm legal. If you want to come out here and get married, I can legally marry you here in Las Vegas. Hit me up through the website, izzypresley.com. Or if you want me to go to Sheboygan and marry you, fly me out and pay me. I'll be there.
There you go, people. So go check out Izzy. Go to my different websites. Go to coopertalk.net. My other podcast, you can find 1,055 episodes. I've got some good guests coming up. I'm really happy about the guests. I didn't record that for a while. I wasn't recording a while. Go to YouTube. You can look up Lawsuits and Lessons. That's my show with attorney extraordinaire John Fogerholm. We interview a lot of entrepreneurs, and it's really interesting. I really learn a lot from that. And of course, this show. You know, Coop's Comedy Corner. We'll go to coopscomedycorner.com. There's merchandise. You can get all swag from all my shows. I have a lot of episodes up. Jimmy Corhan from Comedy Trainrek is my producer. You got to follow Comedy Trainrek. You know, Coleman Green has a show. John Kensel has a show with the Wid. Ed McGonigal. There's some Tommy Highland. There's some great shows. So check them out. And follow me on here. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen on Spotify. I'm Steve Cooper, and I will talk to you guys in just a few weeks. Have a good night. Thank you, Izzy.
Coop's Comedy Corner.